Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back with you once again. And it's a beautiful, beautiful morning here in Southwest Ohio. And for all across the nation, hopefully it's a good start to the morning. And thank you for joining us. I see you, Ty. Good morning to you. Yeah.
Ty is so inspirational to see you jump in, man. He's like the first in class.
Yeah.
I know he used to sit in the front of class in school. Come on now, Houston Elementary. I know he did. We appreciate you, man. Happy Juneteenth weekend, Tommy.
Yes.
You know, this is the celebration of us just finding out we're out of slavery 2 years later. It feels like we are back in. I mean, this is just difficult times that we're living through right now, man.
Yeah, difficult times, Eric. And Juneteenth, as we know, as you just mentioned, we were emancipated as enslaved individuals or groups of people. And then 2 years later, that news had made it down to Texas.
Right.
And so we're saying it now because I'll tell you right now, Eric, that 2 days ago, I was watching a morning television show, a news show, and they were talking about Juneteenth weekend. And the African-American man who was the anchor said, we want to celebrate Juneteenth. It was a period of time where the slavery was ending, and the folks in Texas have found out that slavery ended just a few weeks later. I said, what? It wasn't a few weeks. And the other woman, the other anchor said, yeah, it used to take a long time for messages to be relayed by way of walking, by way of horse. And so no, it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks.
No.
It was 2 years later.
Right.
And so we have to be informed ourselves, and let alone other people. But it is a happy Juneteenth. We are emancipated. We are still growing, and we are still experiencing some challenges that we have over the last millennium. Right. So it is a happy weekend for us.
But that is why you and I are in business, Tommy, to help liberate companies and people, marginalized people groups and others within organizations. Tommy, talk about your week, man. How was your week?
My week was fantastic, Eric. I will tell you right now that over the last couple of days, I spent some time in Ann Arbor, Michigan, working with the city of Ann Arbor. They have a phenomenal team there. Their sustainability team responsible for ensuring that our environment is safe and it is sustainable, that we as human beings, that we're not damaging, killing our environment. That may seem like it's nothing, but it is something. It is something. Right. And so these professionals, we brought them together for twofold, team building over a day and a half, as well as some conflict resolution. Okay. So there was some small conflicts within the group, just personality conflicts, and then also with customers or ratepayers, where these ratepayers, citizens, community members, they would come into the city talking and acting all kinds of ways.
Right.
Disrespecting.
Right.
And so we had, I think, Eric, I had one of the best times doing training that I've had in a few years.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent.
The level of engagement, the level of inquiry, right? The level of humility of what they really did not know about certain, skill sets of de-escalation, conflict resolution, even in their own team, as we went through some exercises,
right,
there were a lot of aha moments.
right,
Eric, they were looking around like, I never knew you believed that,
right.
or I never knew that was your style or your preference. We do a lot of interactive learning,
right,
and we spent easily 2 hours just debriefing one of the exercises. Right.
So you're eager learners, man.
Eager learners. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Man, that's fantastic.
And that's the way it's been, Eric, all week. That was just icing on the cake. Looking forward to next week as well. But it's been a fantastic week. I do want to shout out my executive administrator, Nicole Keith.
Okay.
And Nicole, she has taken the horse by the reins. When I am away, she is the leader of this organization. When I'm out in the field deploying the work, I have full and complete trust in her, and her temperament is incredible. I enjoy Nicole because I can get real razzled. Right. And she is calm as a cucumber all the time, at least at work. Right.
I love that.
And so I wanted to give her a shout out.
Well, congratulations, Tommy, on that week. My week was Judy and I were in New Orleans at SHRM's annual conference. We both were speakers there this last week. Judy did a phenomenal job, man. And she got done. She said, "Oh, that was horrible." I said, "What?" I mean, a lady screamed out after Judy's presentation, "Outstanding." I mean, just screamed out.
Wow.
And I mean, she's just a phenomenal presenter, man. So she did a magnificent job. I had a chance to do a presentation on allyship and how it helps to accelerate DEI momentum. Had a great crowd of participants, man, that were there. Young lady took just a lot of different pictures of the session. I was pleased about that. Love New Orleans. This time, Tommy, instead of trying to get to every session, man, I set some of that stuff out, man. You know, sometimes you got to sit things out.
Yeah.
You just can't keep trying to go at a frantic pace to get in everything, man. So I just stayed in the hotel room a lot. I did go around the French Quarters there. A lot of homeless people there. You know, I'm giving a lot of tips everywhere. I was at the ATM machine one time, Tommy. This guy comes up on me, not the typical homeless that might be, you know, just overheated, down in their luck. You're sitting on a curb. This is a strong, strapping homeless.
Yeah.
Who's to come up on my flank while I'm at the ATM machine talking about, "You got any money?" I said, "Really, bro? Right here? You're just going to approach me right here for some money?" "No, I ain't got no money." So he goes on. I put my card in there. "Tommy, don't you know that ATM machine just threw out 20s? It was throwing them in the air, man. It was like making it rain."
What?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that at all. Just throw them into the air. The wind was catching them. I'm stepping on 20s. I said, I'm so glad I told that brother to go ahead on, because he just grabbed him a handful, man, and just run on down the street. I've never had that happen in my life. So that was a crazy experience. Like you and I were talking about before the show, lots of flight delays, man, missing planes, getting canceled. But we were in DC waiting on a plane that delayed. And a Mennonite, I think, family came over and just was, you know, sort of in my orbit. And I just sort of started up some small talk. And 3 young ladies were telling me that they sing in church. I said, "Hey, you guys have got to take a look at a song that my daughter's got out. She's got a video out called The Same God." They said, "We sing that song." I said to myself, there's no way these long dress Mennonite girls are singing a little bit of stereotype going on. Tommy, let me share with you what I heard, man. Brooke, why don't you pull up video number 1?
This will be the truth I'm holding. The same God who made a way is the same God who's here today.
What?
Okay, and I mean, it was just blow you away, Tommy. The father was smooth. He was like, "Hey, my daughter sing. Hey, girl, sing for him." And I couldn't believe this, man. Number one, that they had these beautiful voices, but number two, that they literally were singing my daughter's song.
Wow.
And I knew it would be such an inspiration to her. Then they sang another little song, man, and then gave a little message as to why they love Jillian's song. Why don't we pull that up?
The things that you're going through. If you got a heart that's broken into pieces, if you need a healer, a savior, a miracle maker, then you don't have to look no further than Jesus. Look no further than Jesus.
That was so beautiful. Now tell me y'all's names.
Tavia, Tegan, and I'm Tandis.
Okay, and just for the Jillian and the Cross Worship team, what do you love most about that song? Why did you all decide to sing that song, Same God?
We really like the song because no matter what you're going through, no matter what is happening in your life, he's always the same. Like right now, we've been traveling all day, but we have the same God and he's so good.
Same. The words are so good. We're always trying to find songs with meaningful words, and that song has such meaningful words.
Yeah, well, you all have such beautiful voices, and it's clear that the Spirit of God is really with you. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
That is awesome. Eric.
Wasn't that a gift, man?
That is a gift. I am so moved by that. We don't know the power, the true power of God.
Right.
That is a testimony that he plants gifts and blessings in us.
Right.
We may articulate that gift and blessing through humility, but it touches another person or other people that they repeat that blessing and gift.
Right.
So they're sharing her song that was gifted to her to other people.
Right.
And it's at the end of the day, I think it's an acknowledgement of God.
Yeah.
So they may say this, Jillian Ellis's song, or other people may say, this is the choir's song, but it's giving God the praise.
Right. And in the midst of we're in the midst of stressed city.
Yes.
They've been in the airport all day long.
Yep.
People in there angry. They bust out with a song right there in the middle of the airport with these angelic voices, man, with these precious smiles on their faces. And I'll tell you, Tommy, with all of the challenges that we see across human differences, it spoke loudly, man, that music and sometimes the arts can bring us together across those differences, man. And they before they left, they said, you guys, if you ever come to Maine, you've got to come to Maine so you can come over our house and we can make a lobster dinner for you.
Yes.
Huh? I mean, and so I just think sometimes, Tommy, if we're not careful, we make life too complex.
I agree, Eric.
We've got to simplify it, man, and meet folks, man, that are just good people, and maybe even carve out some time to find some time to connect with one another.
I agree, Eric. I want to reiterate what you just said. Sometimes we make life more complicated. As we are enjoying Juneteenth and Father's Day weekend,
that's right.
As men, as minds, sometimes we do make things more complicated.
Right.
Sometimes, Eric, we can forget that there's a higher spirit.
Right.
There's something really and truly in control. And so when we are working with our sons and daughters, our mentees, our neighbors, right? We don't always have to stand on the top of the mountain and blow the trumpet around God's work. I would ask and invite all of us to allow his work to come and flow through us.
Right.
Right. Unapologetically.
Right.
Right. And to simplify things, unless you have all the answers to life.
Right.
And then stand up and share with the world, because we have a need.
Right.
But if you don't have all the answers to life, Eric, let's not complicate things any more than they are, because we're only here for a short period of time.
Right. And you've got to find joy in each day. Tommy, it's Father's Day weekend, like you said. We are going to talk about fatherhood. And so I was looking at just some research and some articles about fatherhood. Found one that said through most studied cultures, fathers have assumed three primary roles in the family: the role of protector, the role of provider, and the role of disciplinarian. And so I thought it'd be nice if we started off by talking about how those roles have been manifested in our lives. Yeah. Protector, provider, disciplinarian.
So I initially go to my father and father figures in my life. I did have a biological father that was in the household consistently, and I also had a number of fathers outside of the house.
Right.
Grew up in a time where my neighbors and my friends' fathers were my father, literally, right? I had athletic coaches who took on the role of father figure, particularly when my biological father wasn't around.
Right.
Because he wasn't going to every game and things like that. He didn't always take me to and from athletic events. And so I value the protection piece. And I took on that value system, Eric, in my parenting, that as a father, as the head of the household, if you will, it is my job to first spiritually protect my family. I take on the brunt of evil, and I've seen it, right? I've seen it up close and personal, where I was terribly afraid. Right. I have seen evil in a spirit, right? And it shocked me. Did anybody else see that going up the stairs?
Right.
And I told my family, get out of the house. I don't know what that was, but I'm going to stand in here and I'm going to pray hard. I've been there to protect the family against principles of evil.
Right.
Protections psychologically, right? Financially, wherever I could, right? And emotionally.
Right.
And I believe, just to close out on the protection side, Eric, that emotional protection, in my mind, I overwhelm my family with love versus hate. Right. I think that really puts a cover on a lot of things. Love through my thoughts, love through my speech, love through my actions, to protect my family, that when things get rough, and they will, that they can trust in me, that as the father, right? Or in my case, the husband, I love them.
Right.
And sometimes that's all I have left is love.
Right.
That's just starting with protection.
Right. I love that. As I think about that, so as a protector, oh man, I take that real serious.
Yes, sir.
I mean, when I say it, Tommy, man, yeah. I feel that, baby. You know, I wanted children when I was a child, and it has not let me down. I've got 4 children. My daughter's 30, and then I have 3 sons. And I feel like a lion over them from now to the day that I draw my last breath, Tommy. Yeah. I'll see myself in part as their chief protector, meaning, first of all, I want them to be protected emotionally, to know that there's somebody in this world that you're guaranteed loves you, no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what failures you experience, no matter if you're in or out of your mind, I don't care where you are, what you do, you can count on it. I love you, and I will be your protector. I remember when my kids were young, and we were at one of these little festivals, and my son Eric called me and said, "Daddy, you need to get over here. Guy is messing with Ethan." I said, "Well, handle it, son." He said, "He's a man." I said, "A man? What?" I get over there like, as a plainclothes police officer, man. And I went at this guy like, man, look, this young man has a father. If you have an issue with him, you call me. You don't ever put your hands on my son. I said, you don't look like any police officer. I said, these little, drinks out here are all for free.
Yep.
And man, I looked at him, and I was coming at him and other police officers. I didn't even see them almost. I said, you owe him an apology. And then, I've told that story before, he apologized. Then we got on up out of there. My kids was like, let's go play. I said, no, let's get up out of here.
Yeah.
But I really feel strongly that, my job is to be your protector. If young men came by and wanted to date Jillian, they'd have to go in my office and sit down there with me.
Yep.
And one time, man, I had a gun out on the table, like, young man, I'm just talking. And I just want to let you know that she's got somebody that really loves her. And, I'll die for her.
There it is.
So if you have any issues with my daughter or anything doesn't go right, you call me up. I'll come get her wherever she is, brother. And I definitely feel seriously about that. I'm glad that my daughter also makes good choices, but daughter, son, protectors is a significant role. What about provider, Tommy? What does that mean to you as a father?
So providing as a father, that's been a learning process, Eric, of defining and redefining what providing is. Sure, it's food, shelter, clothing, in some cases, transportation, providing those things, material things. On the other side, providing is a little bit of a challenge for me in this sense, where sometimes when I am providing to my son and sons and other loved ones, that I'm providing what I believe I should provide to them or what I believe they need.
That's good, Tommy.
And that's not always what they need. And so I miss the providing piece.
Right.
Sometimes I'm giving strong advice, historical advice. I've been there. Here's the pitfall. Don't fall in. I have the playbook.
Right. So I got this.
I got it. I provided you the game plan.
Right.
And, Bryce, my son, says, I didn't ask for the game plan. I actually need you to allow me to play.
Oh,
you hear me? Oh, yes, he said that. Allow me to play.
Oh, that's cold, man. Why we got to keep getting these lessons, man?
These lessons, Eric.
I thought it was my time to talk. I'm back in school again. Allow
you to play.
Right.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
That providing for you is to allow you to make some mistakes and to be there to support if the fall is too great or the fall is too harsh and stumbling and fumbling to get back up. Then I reach in and give that helping hand. Right. But that's what I'm struggling with, even with today. And I don't know if it's a struggle, Eric. For me, it brings me great joy. Sincerely, to see myself growing as a provider while I'm learning how to provide.
But Tommy, this is so profound, man, because when you say provider, too often people only think about it from the standpoint of me giving you something, some sustenance for your life. We generally don't think about me providing you with an example of what not to do.
Yes.
Or me providing you with the example of how you get up when you fall down. Providing you with the example of how you say, I'm sorry when you've made a mistake.
Yes, sir.
But I know, Tommy, that's part of what we have to provide as well. And we have to be, that means that we have to keep working on ourselves. You got to keep working on yourself so that you are can be called upon to be a provider of the kind of information and insight and example that your kids can depend upon and utilize when they face challenges in life, because every day is not going to be our best day. Every day we're not going to make the right decision. Every call that we make, every time that we try to be that third point, that disciplinarian, every time we go at that, we're not going to get that right. And so sometimes we have to provide you an example of how I recover when I've gotten it wrong.
Yeah, that and being a disciplinarian, I've grown in that as well.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Back in the day, we'll some spankings, for recorrection, and disciplinary action, if you will, some whoopings, some harsh speaking. Right. It's not necessarily profanity, is sometimes, but oftentimes it's harsh. Right. Didn't I tell you? Right. And then after saying that for 100 times, this is not effective. Right. I keep saying, did not tell you, did not tell you, did not tell you. And now we have to shift to understanding, and particularly like in your case, with multiple children, right, with different personalities, needs, interests, right, their views of you, and you can speak to that more than I can. But I think that the discipline, it has to be customized.
Yeah.
Right. Even to the point of learning as a father a new skill,
right,
to customize the discipline to meet that child.
That's right.
Right. And not use, the moment of hearing something from the spouse, some language, hearing something from another loved one, something that's going on at work that's going wrong, and taking all of that and flushing it out into the child, as we're calling discipline.
Right.
And what I mean by child, I want to be clear here. I don't mean based on age.
Right.
I mean our children. And as I knew, and I was growing up, Eric, I was always my parents' children.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or child.
Right.
No matter how old I got.
Right.
My was like, you're still my child.
Right.
Yeah. And so I want to make that clarity, because I've talked to some people, some fathers, maybe some mothers, and they said, well, my son is now 30, 35, 40 years old. They're not my child.
Right.
I'm scratching my head. I don't understand that.
Right. No.
So when we're talking about discipline, sometimes at 30, 35, 40, your children still need some discipline.
Right. And that's a very good point. And I would say that, and I'll say this to especially young fathers out there, that a lot of times, so we start off with corporal punishment.
Yep.
The older my kids got, I realized that really wasn't the way.
Yep.
That I was using corporal punishment because culturally it is drilled in us that that's what you need to do. If you don't beat them kids, that's why other people's kids are running around all in the stores and acting a fool. Well, I discovered that oftentimes the beating was a quick and easier way out of really establishing some real consequences that would tie you to the situation. So when you did discipline the right way, that might mean more supervision. That might mean you had to be here with them. And the beating, you can just get that done and get on in the rest of your day.
Yeah.
And so I would say that the discipline that we need for our children, even as they get older, is wise discipline. And then it's really an assessment of, is discipline what is needed here? My son called and asked me for some money the other day to go to New York to do some of his music. And he's calling me day of. There's a whole speech in my head, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
And I was about to give it. I was headed right into the speech, and in mid-sentence, something said, Eric, abort.
Yes, sir.
You don't need that. So I just stopped. I literally stopped myself in mid-sentence. And then I said, I got you, man. I said, I'll send you $400.
Yep.
He said, Daddy, finish what you were going to say. I said, son, what I was going to say was not helpful at all. And so I checked it myself.
Yes, sir.
I said, why give you a bad speech?
Yes.
I
sir.
said, here's what I want to say to you. Do your thing out there. If you need anything, call me.
Yep.
And I was grateful that I was able to do that, Tommy. I don't know why, man, but sometimes we just have to assess what we know about the whole situation.
Yep.
And determine that the bad speech is not what's needed right now.
Yep. Eric, that's prophetic. Do we not think or know the trial and tribulation that our children go through in their head?
Come on, Tommy.
To get to the point.
Even call to make the ask.
To call to make the ask.
Exactly.
It is arduous.
Yes, sir. We ain't easy.
Arduous.
We are not the easy cats.
Eric, I'm going to go back. Man. When I was in Nashville, Tennessee, I called myself moving out of the house, out of Cincinnati. I'm going to live in Nashville.
Right.
Had a nice little job. It took care of some things. I was able to get the apartment, get the car, have some spending.
Right.
I actually had 2 jobs. I was working at the hotel. I was doing the work at Fisk. I was a faculty there. Right. Things were going great. I didn't have my PhD at Fisk. They wanted that, but they had a process to get me in. Got to a point 2.5 years in. They gave a little post check. How are you doing on that PhD process? Oh, no, I haven't even started. Oh, you haven't started?
Right.
Oh, yeah. At the end of this year, we're going to have to let you go.
Oh.
Right. And I said, oh, okay. They let me go 6 months later at the end of the academic year. And I lost my other job from the hotel.
Right.
I'm unemployed instantaneously.
Right.
I'm on the struggle bus trying to get my thing together. Right. I'm on that struggle bus for about a year, Eric.
Right.
I'm out there, loose ends. I'm cutting some hair, getting some change. I'm doing this, and the third, all this good stuff. I'm doing all of this. And so, sorry for a second.
That's all right.
And so I'm now a year and a half. I'm talking to my mother on the phone, not really talking to my father too much because I got a lot of shame. And, when I talk to him, I'm like, yeah, everything's good. I'm managing, I'm adulting, if you will.
Right.
My mother can sense through that. And I know my father could too.
Right.
Then I had decided now I'm 2 years in and I am completely underwater. Right. My well is completely dry. I have to call my father. I gotta come back home. I'm 32 years old.
Right.
I have multiple degrees. I have experience. I'm just not making it. I just need a little bit of reset.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to my mother. She was like, baby, I'm okay with it. I know you want to talk to your father, but talk to your father. I don't know what to say, whatever. She said, I'm not going to tell you what to say to your father. Man, I grappled over that for another month.
Right.
And I gave my father a call. I was emotional. I wasn't crying yet because I didn't want him to hear me break down. All that pride and ego stuff. When I called him, Dad, I've been struggling here. I need to reset to come back home. He said, what? You gonna come back home? That's what I'm talking about, son. I need you to come back home, man. If you come back home, we can get some things together. You can move in, right? I got the extra car. You can borrow that for about 3 months, 6 months, however you need that for. But I need some help around the house, man. I'm getting older, right? And your mother and I, both of us getting older, and we need somebody like you to come over and take care of all this stuff we need, right? It was a blessing to him.
Right.
I came home,
right,
and was on the couch trying to find a job. I was borrowing gas money from my father to put gas in the car that I was borrowing from him. It was a Saturday morning. There was an organization called Inroads that had this summer alumni internship event. I wanted to go to the event, but I didn't have enough money for the week or gas for the week. And so I didn't want to spend the gas on the weekend. I'm sitting on the couch and my father looks in, what's your plans for the day? I said, well, I'm supposed to do the Inroads deal, but not going to do that. I said, why? I said, well, don't have the money. It's like, here's $30, right? Do what you need to do. I drive over to GE Park, which is in Southwest Ohio, Cincinnati area. And that event allowed me to connect with the then executive director of En-ROADS, who hired me 3 months later. I was on board for that company for 4.5 years. That boss, Anthony Jones, left and went to Convergys. He took me with him. In a 6-year period, my life went from below zero to abundance.
Right.
And I value that on my father already knew the struggle I was going through, and he fathered me. He fathered me. He didn't shame me, blame me, victimize me. Eric, he didn't. He just said, boy, I knew you were struggling.
Right.
And we had some real good conversations as I close, Eric, about struggling as men.
I love that.
I had some real personal conversations with my father about what it's like to really struggle. And I had never had these conversations with him. And I felt so blessed to say, oh, I'm not the only one. He said, boy.
Right. Here's the real world, man.
Yes, sir.
Because he's already raised you.
Yeah.
He already knows your character. He already knows who you are. And he knows that a big chip of who he is who you are. And he says he don't need that lecture anymore.
Yeah.
That's not who he is. He's a kid that's out here working hard, trying to make it, and has just run up against life. I think that's such a powerful lesson, Tommy. And it's a lesson we must continuously remember no matter how old we get.
Yes, sir.
That every day is not going to be success. Is not going to be we're up. We're so used to being up that we can sometimes get ashamed of being down. But I think our children need to understand that even as their parents, we're not always winning. And that's just powerful, man. Your father is speaking to us right now through the grave from heaven. He is speaking to us around what really matters. Yeah. And your mother as well. I just think that that's so powerful, man. When I think about fathers that I've respected, certainly I love my own father dearly. He was my hero, both in his strengths and in his weaknesses. Ray Brokamp was someone, man, who I really loved as a father. Yes. They used to have Sunday dinners every week. Him and all his children, he'd have them all come over the house and have dinner. And I just used to think about that, man, and I marveled at that Ray and his wife, Pauline, really felt that it was so important for families to come together. Tommy, what's happened with that, man? It feels like we've squeezed out family dinners and times. Why is that? And what do we miss out on when we're not spending time together as families at mealtime?
Eric, I think that's the $6 million question of what happened to that particular concept and value as part of the thread of the family. That thread has tethered, and in some cases it's broken. It's broken. We transitioned from the table discussion and table dinners to TV dinners and folks enjoying their dinners in separate rooms, to not even being in the same space and place. And now as we're circling back to the same space, place, and maybe table, unfortunately, we're allowing technology to still create a barrier that I am not talking to my siblings or my parents, let alone my father, but I'm actually communicating with someone else who may be across the world using the technology that's in my hand. And so now that technology and other things have taken the place of the energy that is developed through conversation. And because of that, over some years, it's simply been devalued in my mind.
Right.
The family dinner is just devalued.
Right.
And Eric, I think that today, particularly with younger fathers, younger families, that event of family dinners is not happening because in their lives, it never happened. So if you're 17 years old, you're a father. If you're 21 years old, you're a father. 25 years old, maybe you have a family now, right? You may not have ever experienced a sit down chat, right? You've had those TV dinners and, you know, maybe grab a little something, but nothing consistent like Ray Brokamp.
Right.
And so what the problem that happens is a couple of things, but not to be too long-winded, is that ultimately there's a shift in the family value, period. It's a shift in understanding the role of the father, the role of the mother, and things like that. There's a shift in that. Sorry for the background noise.
That's all right, man. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah. So it's a busy week. It's a busy week.
Right.
Weekend. But I do think that there's a lot lost with the not coming together as a family, as a nucleus, and really, Eric, for children not to see their parents grow. So we're sponges,
right?
We're getting what we're getting. But I remember looking across the table and seeing a young 30-ish age father, and then later with his gray beard, slower cadence in his speech, his slower delivery and movement, see him age, and then see and hear the words that are used in wisdom.
Right.
I saw it in real time. And that's what I do now, and that's missing. That's broken.
Right. I love that, Tommy. I wanted to hit on just an area of what are some of the conversations that we as fathers should be having with our children that too often we're not having with them. I'll start and say that one of the conversations I think that we have to have with them is what I'm afraid of and where I have failed. Because you know, I never learned how to say I'm scared. I never learned how to talk about some of the failings in my life. So we just never opened up that conversation. We either acted as though it didn't occur, or if I didn't perform athletically, then my father would be giving me all kinds of advice about how to perform better. But we never talked about the experience of defeat, the reality of defeat, and how you live with defeat because it's a part of life.
Yes.
And so I think, Tommy, that there are some conversations that we need to be having with our children that sometimes we don't open up those doors.
I agree, Eric. I completely agree. As I'm thinking of the conversations that I'm having with my son, particular, you know, one of which is, what does it mean to be happy as a man, particularly? You know, if you have a daughter, what does it mean to be happy? That is, and I think that's an internal journey of happiness. Because in my parenting, I do teach and parent in the way that try not to find happiness in materials or in other people.
Right.
Because that's fleeting.
Right. That's right.
Right. And so sometimes that's difficult to teach, to say the happiness is in you if the person is like, I'm trying to find out what that is.
Right.
That's where we walk along that journey towards self-discovery and happiness, satisfaction, pleasure, success, all of that, versus weighing your happiness and success based on someone else's happiness or success. We can look out and say, they have a $5 million home, they have 4 cars, they do this. That's them. You can have the same thing, less or more. It depends, because there are people that have the same, less and more. But what about happiness? What about happiness? And so when my son is unhappy, I do have to pause and I have to listen. I have to listen through my own stuff. Right.
Right.
And that's difficult at times.
And let me ask you this, Tommy. There's so often that I feel as though we don't have the right to share with them periods when things aren't going well for us or we're not feeling good, because it feels like I'm afraid that I may get them nervous about, like, if daddy is shaking, then the whole world is shaking. Where's the balance between transparency with your children and trying to maintain this sense of confidence that the world is stable because my father is stable? And where's the line between artificial and encouragement?
I believe, Eric, great question. I believe the balance is truly in one's humility.
Mm-hmm.
That father who truly knows, that parent who truly knows that they need help.
Right.
They need some other idea, fresh thinking, assistance. Right. Then they're speaking to their child to say, in transparency, things are not the way I planned. We're working to get better. What I would like for you to, kind of step up here. What are your thoughts here? How are you feeling? Well, Dad, I'm good.
Right.
Right. I didn't need that third pair of shoes.
Right.
Right. That was you.
Right.
Oh, it was me, because I was overcompensating. Or, Dad, I just need you to be here.
Right.
Right. Because I know you're out there working hard, but I'm struggling through some things and I can help.
Right.
When we have that humility, then the balance is, okay, the child is ready for this conversation or they're not. Right. And then also, it's, even if they're not ready for this is life. Life is hitting me. Life will hit them. That's humbling. We need to have this real life conversation and see what they think.
Let me ask you something else. I don't know if you've noticed this, that our children, there's some conversations they'll have with me, and there's some conversations that they'll have with their mother. Now, I think that there's some comfort in knowing that they can have certain conversations with their mother. But my question to you is, should they be having some of those with us? And what is it about us sometimes that doesn't send the message that that's a conversation that they can have with us?
Eric, I think that children have these different conversations with us for three reasons. One of which, our children know us better than we think they know us.
Right. Absolutely.
They know how we're going to react, how we're going to respond.
Right.
Even in our own growth as we're changing, they still know us.
Right.
They watch us, they feel us, they hear us.
Right.
And so that's one. Two, they go to the parent based on their need.
Okay. That's
and
good,
sometimes they'll go to the father because for you, for example, and myself, they need that analytical, strategic, kind of grounded, tactical response.
Right.
Right. I need the playbook, Dad. I need the playbook.
Right.
That's what you're good at.
Right.
Your X's and O's.
Right.
But then I don't need the playbook. I just need a hug.
Right.
I don't necessarily need the physical hug. I need that emotional hug, that psychological hug. I need that safety net.
Right.
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 And so I may go to mom. Mom may get some tactical stuff or some critical feedback. But at the end of the day, it's going to be all in love.
Right.
And I feel good. At least I feel good. Then I go to Dad. I feel good. Now what do I do? Right.
Right. Right.
And the third is the children are our offspring. Sometimes they're selfish too. They manipulate.
Oh yeah, we've seen that. That's always interesting. Yeah.
So that's what they do. So now it's about me. I'm selfish, and really it's about me. So I need to play my cards. I need to play mom or play dad or get what I need to get. And so they leverage that. When parents are, for the most part, on the same page, we can sense it, we can feel it, we can defer. Did you ask your mother? Yeah, I asked her. Did you? Well, I was about to. Oh, you just said two different things.
Right.
You said you did ask her, and then now you're saying you're about to. Let's huddle. huddle.
Right.
So that's what they do, and we do the same thing at work. Right, we're going to different coworkers, different managers, to get co-signers. Our juvenile essence doesn't end when we turn 40. Right. We're still young.
Yeah, I'm glad that I can hear it back from my children that they feel protected, they feel loved, and they feel like I've got their back. And I'm grateful for that. It's amazing to me that the kids will ask mom about, look at this bump on my butt. I mean, just anything like that. Like, what? Yeah. I mean, they know they can't really come to me with that. I don't really know what to do with them. Stuff between your toes. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I'm glad they can go to mom to talk about that. And then sometimes they can talk their relationships more fully with mom. I think she's interested, and she's interested in detail.
Yeah.
The detail of those things. For me, I'm interested in the broad brush. Now, if you really want to talk relationship and you want my thoughts or you want to share some things with me, I'm good with that.
Yep.
I mean, my daughter knows she ain't coming unless it's the real right guy, because she just knows dad gonna be judgmental. But I think that my children would be surprised that my ability to be open to their choices is very wide. So I have a very wide openness to that, because at the end of the day, whoever loves them is who I'm gonna love.
So let me ask you, Eric.
Yeah.
When your children have come and brought their suitor or someone that they're suiting, right? When they have brought someone in front of you or toward you that you thought that they were the wrong person,
right?
How did you deal with that? And when they had their heart broken, how did you deal with that?
Right. So my daughter doesn't talk to me much about heart being broken, and my boys don't ever really get there. I mean, they just kind of free spirits. They're not lighting anywhere.
Yeah.
My daughter has had her heart broken, but I think she talks that mainly more with her mom. Basically, I'm looking for a guy that loves my daughter in this case, and even my sons. If they love them, I'm good. That's what I'm looking for. If it's anyone that my children like that person more than that person likes my children, my antenna's way up.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm doing, though, is I'm trying not to be aggressive in my language, because I know that sometimes that can cause your kids to close themselves off to you and never share with you what's going on. But I think that we've trained them well enough that they actually know what they should be looking for. And that's somebody they can. And then at the end of the day, they got to do their part too. So it's not just that they love you. You got to do your part as well. But that relationship thing, man, is, and I can be like a lion, and just I can't even hardly see it happening, Tommy, with the guy trying to lay his hands on my daughter or something like that. I mean, I just really.
Yeah.
Be a problem. That's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a serious problem, right? Right.
That one's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And it's going to be a problem with her brothers. So, she's well protected like that. The way the world goes now, I can just tell you that when I've gone to events with my wife and my daughter, like dance events, and other guys are hitting on them, none of that bothers me.
Yeah.
I don't get thrown by any of that. Yeah. The only thing that throws me is when they said to you, I'm not interested, and you don't seem like you can hear that.
Yep.
Now you got to introduce me to the situation.
Yep.
Because now we got to get you some hearing aids, brother. So I'm not the jealous type that just gets jealous because somebody. Now my boys are more like that, but I'm not, because both Jillian and Judy can handle themselves with their words. So that's good.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am. With my wife in particular.
Right.
Man, brother, shoot your shot.
Right, bro. Do your thing.
I'm so confident, and I see what you see too. I'm a man, so she's gorgeous. I see it.
Right.
Whatever. But
until you can't hear.
Until you can't hear. Right. I know it was the subtle the first one, you may have missed it, Eric.
Right.
You may have missed it. It was the no. I'm just I'm going this way.
Right.
Okay. Now you keep shooting the shot. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm okay. Yes, yes. Happily, whatever. Right. Because it's always, are you happily dating and happily? Right. And then it's the no, that's okay. Now, like you said, the hearing aids, and unfortunately, like you, Eric, I am the hearing aid. So I'm up in there.
Yeah,
I'm up in there,
brother.
I'm up in there tight.
Right.
Yeah. I'm up. I'm right up
Because
against
it can move right to aggression now. That's where it is.
Yeah.
Because you wasn't understanding nothing else.
Crystal clear. You wasn't understanding.
Right. And so as a father, we have all of these different roles that we have to play. Being a father comes with a lot of pressure, but it comes with a deep sense of responsibility, a deep sense of joy. I mean, that you've been given a responsibility to provide leadership in this family. And leadership does not make you the boss. Matter of fact, leadership oftentimes makes you guys, I hope you understand this and hear this. It makes you the first one that has to apologize. It makes you the one that has to bring more humility to the relationship, not more testosterone. Sometimes we think we want to be the boss, but being a great father is not about being a great boss. It's about being a great student. It's about being observant. It's about being humble, Tommy, as you said there. It's about seeking the wisdom and counsel of God and others, so that you might, because everything you do, you will see manifested in your children and in their confidence in life.
Yes, sir.
I took my children to a Reds baseball game. We stayed downtown overnight, and then we went to brunch the next day. And we just sat around there, me and, three of my children, we started talking about things, and they said, wow, we got to do this more often with dad. Because when they meet with mom, she's always talking about, this is what you should be doing, this, now make sure you do this. And she's giving them the ABCs. But I'm the dreamer. And so sometimes when they want to dream about something, when they want to think about taking a risk in life, they seem to really appreciate being able to come to me around those things, because I'm always open to them.
Yeah, Eric, this, I think, a phenomenal conversation today, Father's Day weekend, if you will. Listening to radio shows, sometimes the fathers are underappreciated.
Right.
We're talking about it. We're fathers. We have a community of fathers, mothers, those who are supporting their nieces and nephews, or neighborhood folks, mentors, etc.
Right.
And so this conversation, I don't see it as a bash against another identity.
Right. Absolutely not. Right.
I don't even see it as a end all for all the answers to fatherhood, right? At all. I don't see it like that. And so I know our community doesn't as well. But I would like to invite our community and ourselves to really think about some of the questions that you asked today. Again, what happened to that family, that nuclear family? What happened to those events that brought families together? We do have a lot of young people out here, or older people who do not know who their fathers are, right? And so they are searching to fill that gap, and in some cases that wound of not having that balance of the father and the mother.
Right.
And I would be the one to say that it's time for the fathers to step up even more. It's time for us to step up, and not to depend on mothers to be mothers and fathers.
Right.
Biologically, that's almost impossible. But theoretically, sure, we have single parent households run by women, but fathers, step up.
Right. And keep growing, because I would say that the division that we're looking at across the country, has more to do with fathers being divided than mothers. I think mothers have some issues there too, but we get caught up in tribalism and silos. And I think that it's incumbent upon us to really do our part to keep growing and learning so that we can be a figure worth following, an example worth following. And that means that even when you fall, you fail, showing people how to get back up. I'm grateful that on this Father's Day weekend, that this is one of my most valued roles in the entire world. It might be the role that I would take over every other role. If I had to lose everything else in life, if I can still be a father, then that would make my life feel fulfilled, because I'm grateful for everything that exists inside the gifts that God has given me.
Yeah, and you're a wonderful father, Eric. Happy Father's Day.
Same to you, Tommy. I love you as a father,
Love
man. Love that passion that you show for your children and all the other kids that get fathered because of the work that you're doing there.
Yes,
Community,
indeed.
thank you all for joining us for another of our diversity conversations. I think the next week will be Tommy's and I's last week as we take the summer off. But we certainly have a lot of content that we'll be sharing with you throughout July and August, and then we'll return again in September. But Tommy, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, my friend. Love you.
Love you too, Eric.
Take
Love
care
you
now.
too. All right.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Well, we're trying to say bye.